dirt mile doesn't have a big field, but it's a very short run to the first turn. Without too much true early speed, the field could bunch up, which could mean trouble for those without it who draw wide, and a big advantage to those inside. Algers was a decent grass horse, but he improved quite a bit when he got on dirt as a 5-year-old. He again ran worse on grass and synthetic later that year, before running big ones at Maidan last winter. Crisford ran him on synthetic last time in what appears to be a straight-up prep for this, and we suspect he's ready for his best now, with his best being the negative figure he ran in the World Cup. And if they can get him to fire in the Middle East, they can probably make it happen in California. Charge It was wiped out by his huge effort last July as a 3-year-old. He hasn't got back to that level this year, despite doing a lot of running, and that last was a step in the wrong direction. If they look like they're tailing off, they probably are. Which brings us to the big handicapping question in this race, Codys Wish, who started running negative numbers last year and even faster earlier this year, before running a couple of points worse in his last two. On the one hand, as previously noted, Mott has been terrible at this, and Codys Wish might be tailing off anyway. On the other, this one is Godolphin. Is their magic strong enough to overcome Mott's record? National Treasure was a very strong 2-year-old, but he hasn't developed at all this year, while the rest of the division has. He would need a big jump to contend. Practical Move was a good 2-year-old who managed to win early 3-year-old stakes without improving, just by saving ground. He finally broke through coming in fresh off a layoff, which he's done before. This colt would need to go forward to have a shot here, and we do not think he will. Skippy Longstocking is a very solid horse who occasionally runs a negative number. If this horse was training in Florida with other Joseph horses, we would be less concerned about him firing. But he's been in Saratoga, so that's tough to count on. Stage Raider has the layoffs that are the mark of unsoundness. His last two are good enough to put him in this, but they're also good enough to shake something loose again. And then there's the East-West ship. And that brings us to Brad Cox. The sample size in those races is small, but Cox got a -3 out of Nick's go at Del Mar, which only counts as an off race because the horse's top was even better than that. We're going to start with the assumption that the barn will get the kind of results it gets elsewhere, and adjust as we go along. But in the case of Zozos, the horse is coming off a lifetime top, and the other 2 times he ran that well, Zozos bounced. So we expect him to go back some here as well. The dirt mile ended up with a small field, so ground loss shouldn't be that big a factor. We're going to be watching what Codys Wish does, but given how weak the competition is, we're neither going to count on his running well or throw him out. We're against National Treasure, Charge It, and Zozos. Algers should run well and has a big shot to win this, and if we use any East-West shippers, they'll be Stage Raider and Skippy Longstocking, just because they're longer. This race is likely to fall apart with many running X's.